You don't think about it much anymore, maybe out of habit, maybe out of shame, maybe because you simply assume that aging means giving up certain forms of intimacy with yourself. But according to a urologist who spent decades studying male health in older adults, what happens when you stop self-stimulation isn't what most men expect. It's not about performance. It's not about masculinity. It's about something far deeper happening inside your body and mind. And once you understand it, you might rethink everything you believed about aging and desire. Because whether you realize it or not, sexual expression, internal, external, partnered, or solo, is a part of your body's natural maintenance system. It affects circulation, hormone balance, prostate comfort, mood, and emotional grounding. Most seniors never hear this, because discussions about sexuality after 60 are pushed aside, hidden behind embarrassment or assumptions that older adults lose interest. But the urologist in this story reveals a truth that will make you look at your own habits with new clarity and maybe even new compassion. As you age, your relationship with your own body changes. Your hormones shift, your vessels respond differently, your energy fluctuates, and somewhere along the way, many men quietly let go of self-intimacy, not because they want to, but because they assume it's no longer meant for them. The urologist says, this moment is more significant than most men realize, because when you stop allowing your body to experience sexual release, physical processes begin to slow, tighten, or stagnate in ways that affect more than just sexual function, and those changes often appear before you notice them. The urologist explains that regular sexual stimulation, even without climax, helps keep blood flowing through areas that naturally weaken with age. Without that stimulation, those tissues can become less responsive, less flexible, and less sensitive over time. This isn't a moral issue or a behavioral judgment, it's physiology. Your body depends on circulation, it depends on touch, it depends on mental engagement. When you remove those inputs, the brain-to-body pathways involved in arousal can slowly quiet down, and rebuilding them later becomes harder than most men expect. But there's another dimension most people don't talk about: emotional health. The urologist explains that older adults who stop engaging in any form of self-intimacy often experience subtle shifts in their mood, irritability, frustration, lowered confidence, or a sense of disconnect from their own bodies. These aren't signs of weakness, they're signs of unmet biological needs. Humans are wired for physical expression, and that wiring doesn't disappear with age. When it's ignored, the mind compensates by shutting down impulses that once made you feel alive, and that shutdown can influence your overall quality of life. And then there's the prostate, an organ that benefits from regular stimulation, release, and movement. The urologist points out that inactivity can lead to congestion, discomfort, or a sense of fullness that older men often dismiss as aging. But what if that discomfort wasn't inevitable? What if it was simply a result of ignoring a normal, healthy function? And what if understanding this could help you feel more in control of your body, even now, even at your age? That's when the urologist reveals the unexpected truth that reframes everything. The twist is this: the issue isn't whether you masturbate or don't, it's whether you stay connected to your body. The urologist explains that older adults who maintain some form of regular sexual expression, whether through touch, imagination, intimacy with a partner, or simple sensual awareness, tend to experience better circulation, better mood, stronger pelvic function, and higher confidence. It's not about frequency, it's not about performance, it's about keeping the pathways alive, and that single insight changes the entire conversation. When you stop engaging sexually with yourself, your body begins conserving energy. The brain reduces signals that were once frequent. The tissues that relied on stimulation begin to quiet down. The sexual response system becomes sluggish, not because you're old, but because the body adapts to whatever pattern you give it. The urologist says, use it gently, or lose the sensitivity, not in a punitive way, simply as a biological fact. And this realization is where many older men finally understand that aging isn't the enemy, disconnection is. The urologist explains that when you engage in gentle, intentional self-stimulation, whether occasionally or regularly, you're giving your body a message. This system still matters. That message keeps the nerves active, the brain engaged, and the tissues responsive. It helps maintain natural lubrication, natural arousal rhythms, and natural blood flow. These aren't luxuries. They're part of how the male body stays balanced. When they're ignored, everything downshifts, often so subtly that you don't notice until months or even years later. But the benefits go deeper than physical. The act reconnects you with your sensual identity, not just your sexual function, but your sense of aliveness. Older adults who stay sexually expressive often report a quiet but meaningful boost in self-esteem. They describe feeling more comfortable in their bodies, more grounded, more emotionally open. The urologist explains that this isn't psychological fluff, it's a biological reward cycle. Touch produces oxytocin, dopamine, and tension relief. Without those signals, loneliness and irritability can creep into daily life, and most people never connect the dots. Another point the urologist drives home is that you don't need to chase youth or compare yourself to your younger self. Aging changes your rhythm, not your capability. Self-stimulation at 70 looks different from 20, and that's normal, healthy, and expected. What matters is maintaining engagement, not performance. When older men stop altogether, they often interpret the body's slowed response as a failure, rather than a reversible adaptation. But when you remain in touch with yourself, literally or mentally, your system can stay active, even flourish, long past the age most men imagine possible. And then the urologist reveals something most seniors have never heard. Even the anticipation of sexual stimulation, without touch, is enough to keep the arousal centers of the brain awake. That means your imagination, your memories, your fantasies, even your quiet, private moments of curiosity contribute to keeping your system alive. Many older men think that desire is something they have to earn or prove, but in reality, desire is something you keep alive through gentle engagement. When you stop completely, the body assumes the function is no longer needed and begins to retire it. But that retirement is not permanent if you choose otherwise. So what actually happens if you stop masturbating in old age? Your body becomes quiet. Your response slows. Your arousal patterns grow faint. Your prostate may feel fuller. Your mood a little heavier, your confidence a bit dimmer. These changes don't happen because you're aging. They happen because your body adapts to your habits. But the most important truth is this: you have far more influence over this system than you think. Re-engagement, no matter how gentle, can help reactivate pathways that felt lost, and that realization can be life-changing. The urologist encourages older men to redefine what intimacy with themselves means. It doesn't need to be sexual in the way it once was. It can be slow, mindful, exploratory, or simply affectionate. It can involve touch, warmth, imagery, or connection. It's not about climax. It's about communication with your own body. That small act of communication keeps the brain circuits alive, keeps the pelvic muscles active, keeps the tissues flexible, and keeps the emotional landscape open. It is not indulgence. It is care. You start to understand that your body, even in your 60s, 70s, or 80s, still wants attention. Not pressure, not performance, but presence. When you reconnect physically, you also reconnect psychologically. You reclaim a part of yourself that culture often tells you to abandon. The urologist emphasizes that sexual health is simply health, and ignoring it doesn't protect you, it weakens you. Every gentle effort to stay engaged becomes a message of self-respect, and your body responds accordingly. In the end, the question isn't whether older adults should masturbate. It's whether they should stay connected to their sensual identity, their emotional wellness, and their physical vitality. And the answer, according to the urologist, is simple. Your body does better when you do, not because of performance, not because of masculinity, but because sexual expression, at any age, is part of how humans stay balanced, confident, and alive. When you give your body that space, it rewards you with clarity, comfort, and connection. So the next time you wonder whether self-stimulation still matters at your age, remember this: it's not about desire, it's about health. It's not about youth, it's about maintaining the pathways that make you feel human. Your body doesn't stop needing sexual expression just because the years have passed. It simply waits for you to decide whether you want to stay connected. And with even the smallest effort, the system begins to awaken again, one quiet, empowering moment at a time.